Ermysted's boys through the generations have had close ties with the armed forces, and today we remember lives lost in the service of our country, as well as those traumatised and injured in conflict. In this short video we'll focus on a handful of old boys and masters of our school who served in the First World War, which ended a century ago this weekend. Pupils and teachers who once walked up the same school drive as we still do today. 50 old boys of Ermysteds and 4 masters died as a result of the war. Only one, Major Mostyn Cookson, had been a regular in the army when war broke out in 1914. 40 were volunteers in the early years of the war, and 13 were conscripts, including some who enlisted straight from school. Now, Major Cookson was to be the first old boy of Ermysteds to give his life, and that was on the 14th of September 1914 in an assault on his battalion by German machine gun fire. Mostyn had been one of the first boys to come to the school here at its Gargrave Road site, joining as a 9-year-old in 1877. One of the final Ermysteds casualties on the battlefield was Private Tom Cope. He was killed on the 6th of November 1918, just days before the Armistice. The names of those from our school killed in the First World War are recorded on the Roll of Honour here in the War Memorial Library, which was opened on Founders' Day 1924. Their lives and association with Ermysteds are also documented in an excellent book called A Grammar School at War by our former head of history, Steve Howarth, and those of you with an interest in the school's history of the period may be interested to read it. The book also lists the 232 old boys and masters of Ermysteds who served in the Great War and survived. Among them, Jack Petty, head boy in 1911-12, who enlisted in Skipton at the start of the war, aged 19. He was the first Ermysteds old boy to be awarded the Military Cross for conspicuous gallantry in action on the Somme in 1916. And by the end of his war service in early 1919, he had twice held the temporary rank of Major, making him second in command of the 9th Battalion Duke of Wellington's regiment. At school, Petty had been captain of the first 11 at cricket and also featured in the rugby, cross-country, athletics and hockey teams. We also know from the archives that he played an active role in the school music and in the debating society. And we know of his writing ability too, as he was a prolific correspondent with the school during the war. In a letter of the 1st of May 1915, he wrote, "Rifle fire does not seem so very bad to us at present anyway in the trenches, but when you hear a huge whistle through the air and you know that anything from 50 to 150 pounds of iron filled with high explosive is coming towards you, although you cannot see it, you can bet it isn't altogether pleasant. The only thing to do when you hear the whistle, it's crouch down in your dugout or trench and trust to Providence that the shell does not light on you or anyone near you." In the trenches you are, comparatively speaking, safe. Your only danger coming when you put your head over the trench to fire. Don't believe that the Germans can't shoot. Their snipers are crack shots and pick you off in an instant. Just one of many fascinating accounts of life on the front line from old boys of our school, and I urge you to read some of them in the wartime editions of the Chronicles, which are available to view on the Old Boys Society website. On the 11th of November 1918, news of the Armistice reached Skipton soon after 11 a.m, and an announcement was posted in the window of the Skipton Stationery Company. The news quickly spread around town, and by noon the streets were crowded and flags flew in abundance. In the evening, a Thanksgiving service was held in the parish church. It was attended by townspeople of all religious denominations. The Ermysteds headmaster, Reverend Frank Forder, helped conduct the service, which comprised of the national anthem, of special lessons, hymns and prayers. Following this, the school celebrated the end of the hostilities by holding an Armistice ball, which was held in Big School. That's where the library is today. And the account in the Chronicles suggests it was a very raucous affair. Fancy dress was the order of the day, and this, we're told, inspired pirates, Indians, policemen, and an abundance of females, flappers and otherwise. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the guns fell silent on the Western Front to bring an end to the Great War. Our nation and Commonwealth has recalled that moment through our Armistice and Remembrance events over the last 100 years. during which time the men and women of our armed services have continued to pay the ultimate sacrifice. May we have such a devotion to justice and freedom that the heroism of all who fought, and still fight, may continue to be remembered in a nation of service and in a world of peace.